All right, this is part 2 of boats Winty likes that are power and cruising. Thanks for all the comments on the last video. A lot of people mentioned Nordhaven. They're headquartered right here in Southern California in Dana Point. I think I actually had dinner in that location before Nordhaven took it over. It used to be a restaurant with, sort of recall, kind of mediocre seafood with an excellent view. But yeah, maybe I'll do another video. I've actually seen many, but never been aboard one. I'm on the Nordhaven Dreamers forum. So a friend of mine owns a 30-foot Willard, which is how I first became familiar with this builder. When they were making yachts, their yard was in Costa Mesa, California. They're still in business. They're now based in Anaheim, which is just a few minutes away, and they make boats specifically for government, military, law enforcement. If you jump over on the trawler forum, there are numerous Willard threads and several owners that are fanatics of the hull design and efficiency of the Willards. So I found this one on Yacht World. I assume this is a complete rebuild and refit of the house. I am a sucker for yachts that look like working fishing boats. This one's similar age to my present boat, 40-foot hull. It's got the rounded canoe stern, full keel, excellent in following seas. Draft's 5'6", 50,000 pounds with an 8,000 pound ballast. Bridge clearance 40 feet. I like that. It's easy to remember. A single Detroit 471, making 118 horsepower. It cruises at about 3 gallons an hour. 1,300 gallons of fuel. That is excellent range. So this boat appears to have two forms of stabilization. One is the rig with the paravanes. This is the first time I've seen on a yacht paravanes that live in the stowed position up near the ends of the whisker poles. I've seen this up in Port of Gloucester in Massachusetts, some of the fishing fleet there. I think that's really interesting in that you don't have to wrestle and handle the fish to deploy and retrieve. They just live up there on the end of the arms. I imagine they have like a tagline or something to try to minimize them flying around when they're up in the air. Large, spacious cockpit area with built-in bench seating and plenty of room for deck chairs. Boarding ladder directly off the stern. I do like the stern appearance of some of these traditional boats that are rounded and don't have a swim step. I know from a practical standpoint, lack of a swim step is not ideal, especially if you fall overboard accidentally. Here's the second form of stabilization, two bilge keels. I'd imagine these were added after the original build, but maybe not. I don't know. Maybe someone who's watching this knows a little bit more about the 40-foot Willard and can let me know. I like the single continuous piece of stainless steel as a backsplash, countertop, and sink. It appears all the berths in this boat are set up for being out at sea and underway. Mostly single accommodation, and it looks pretty easy to set up lee boards to stay in place if the boat's rolling around. So I like these sedan pilot house style cruisers that have the upper boat deck to store the tender. I think that'd be the number one item I have apprehension on the diesel deck. Your dinghy is going to be hanging on davits off the stern, which drives up the dock cost every time you visit a marina, as it's based on length overall versus hull length. So you're paying for an extra 4 to 5 feet of dinghy overhang. Pilot house area is interesting. It's a little bit different. If this were my boat, I think the first thing I would tackle would be, well, maybe updating some of these electronics. That's going to be a major power demand running all those old CRT screens. Removing this cabinet and bench seat and installing a helm chair. Or since I put in the pedestal chair in my current boat, I can't imagine having a wheel that does not have a comfortable seat that reclines a bit and has armrests. I'm just not a fan of sitting on a little wooden box or even a bench seat for hours at a time. The galley is up at the pilot house level. Guess the good there would be it's easy to make a snack while you're on watch. And maybe the negative is if you're underway at night it's going to be difficult for someone to prepare a meal while someone else is on. So I like seeing all of this canvas stitching in place with pouches to store tools and items. That's on my list. Someday I want to pick up a heavy-duty sewing machine, like one of those Sailrite units, and start making my own canvas and repairs. Love the stove. Something else I want to do someday is to have a dry heat source. We're running one of those super dangerous little Mr. Heater propane units on the boat, and it throws out a massive amount of moisture. Love to have a nice radiant dry heat source. So I'm not exactly sure what I'm looking at here. Is it an air compressor / dive tank filler to run power tools and fill dive cylinders, or is there an additional purpose for air on board this boat? Can't imagine the engine is air start. It's a little Detroit 471. More canvas, I love it. I have not owned a Detroit engine, old two-stroke. I love the sound these things make, although they are pretty noisy. Parts are easy to find in the States and super low cost. And again, I haven't worked on one, but from what I understand, you can rebuild the whole top end of the engine in place. Let's see, water maker. There's bronze sea strainer. Countertop with spare parts and hardware. Nice workbench area. With a little mini shop vac. More custom made tool upholstery. Looks like new sea strainers and through hulls, sea cocks. Over the last couple of years, I've also become a fan of this Navy and workboat method of cable management where your bundles are out and exposed. It makes things easy to trace and troubleshoot when there's a problem. Let's see, what do we got here? Hydraulic pump. Oh yeah, the windlass is a on-deck drum type. That's going to be great if you're dropping anchor on a daily basis. Eliminates having to wrestle and untangle piles of chain in a chain locker. I can't tell from the photos if the boat has a bow thruster, and if it does, if it's hydraulic. I like that too, because that allows you to run it continuously. Yeah, I love the look of this boat. Dry stack. So why are there two sea strainers if it's also a dry stack? I don't know. Well, this is another boat. Maybe someone will buy this, take care of it, and be ready to sell it in a few years when I'm ready to upgrade. Well, that's enough for this video. I've got one more boat to talk about, and I have these two flopper stoppers I want out of my life. They've been sitting in my yard. I had them up on Craigslist. I had a couple inquiries. If you're in Southern California and need a pair of floppers, I would be happy to make a smoking deal, like beer money kind of deal. Let me know your thoughts below in the comments. Love reading them and chatting, and see you again next week.